All right. Welcome to another Coach Clack's Corner. We are now the home of the region champion, Coach Clack's Corner. Congratulations, Coach. No Jamie tonight. Instead, you have Adam and Adam squared. So
probably better anyway.
That's right. We finally booted that guy. Yeah. But Coach, coming off a huge victory, congratulations on that one. Congratulations on an amazing regular season. It's been ups and downs, all kinds of controversy. Let me just get kind of your end of season thoughts as you come out of an amazing victory against a quality Cherokee team, and you look back at the season. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I kind of share what I'm kind of my message over the last 2 weeks with the guys. You know, first and foremost, obviously we know all the challenges that this year has brought. You know, everybody had the same challenges, and that was kind of the fun, if you want to call it that, of navigating and building on that mantra of sudden change and just trying to figure out, and you got a plan A, and then you get a plan B, and a C, D, E, F, you know, all the way through, and just continue to press forward and build. And then to do it with a young team. And again, I say young in the sense of some of got a lot of underclassmen, and we got a lot of seniors who didn't have a whole lot of experience coming in. So when you lose a summer and a spring, you know, it hurts everybody, but it really, really is impactful for a younger team. So as we've been getting to the crescendo, if you will, and you talk about mid-season form and peaking, and there's an art to that, I keep telling them, just keep buying yourself 4 more days, you know, 4 more opportunities to get 1% better, because I don't think you guys have hit your ceiling yet. I think a lot of other teams, especially if you're senior heavy and you got a lot of experience, I mean, you're probably about maxed out. And I also think a lot of other teams don't know how to make that 15-week run. And maybe you pressed too hard early, you did certain. And I think we've got a great plan and an idea of how to keep progressing. And I think the guys are starting to understand, like, we can still get 4% better each week. What if you buy 4 more days, and then buy 4 more days, and buy 4 more days? So that's kind of where I am with this group. I'm so proud that we've navigated it. You win a region championship. You know, that's definitely one of the boxes you want to check off. But I still, in my heart of hearts, believe our best football is still in front of us, and that's crazy to think.
That is awesome to think about, that we have better football in front of us, because the last game was a lot of fun to watch. So as we turn the page and kind of look at the playoffs, how do you kind of, and this team, it sounds like you haven't had to do that because you're so young, you're constantly building. Is there ever a time as a coach you're kind of pulling back the reins and saying, whoa, we're peaking a little too early? Or, because as you say, like, you're still building here, and you love the fact that you're building into the playoffs. Is there ever a time as a coach that you think, okay, we may peak too soon, and I don't want to get into the playoffs after we've had our best game 2 weeks ago?
So just a real example, in 2018, when you opened the season in the Corky Cal, which, you know, and again, kind of going back to kind of the vision of what we were trying to do, you know, it was important for me to get this team on big stages to put them under that pressure. Kind of, hey, we're going to the dance before we know if we can dance or not. You know, we'll find out when we get there. And then we really pushed hard to be ready for that. You know, because I knew, you know, at the end of the day, non-region is what it is, but you know there's an emotional toll of a game, so we really pushed to be ready for that. And then you turn around, you're hosting the Freedom Bowl for the first time, and it's like, hey, this is
with huge schools coming in,
another national stage. You're bringing in a top 25 opponent. You know, we want to make sure that we prove to ourselves that we're ready. So we really pushed hard at 18 to be ready early. And I'll never forget coming in, we had a bye week after that. And talking to the coaches, I said, I know Roswell's coming up after this, but we can't run this hot for 15 weeks. We will burn out. So we really pulled back hard in that bye week and slowed down. Maybe we came out a little flat to Roswell after that, and certain things like that. It is what it is. But I thought it was important for the long-term.
Yes, and it worked out in the end.
Yeah, and maybe that was coincidence, whatever. But it is definitely things that we think about all the time of just watching them. they look tired. They need sometimes we need to cut this out, or they look flat. Maybe we need to add some energy. We need to add competition teams like we did this year. After week 7, it was like we got to do something to change it up. So we just started competition teams and we started breaking practice down. Like, hey, here's a 5-minute period where we're going to do lineman punt catches, just to have some fun. So every team you're constantly there's Todd Towns always says it. There's a science and an art kind of behind a lot of this stuff, and that's kind of what we look at. We got our science and our process, but the art is figuring out how to change and what levers and buttons to push and pull as we go through the season.
Yeah, that's the kind of mastery of a coach, I guess. As we make the turn now and we enter the playoffs, is there something? If you could maybe give me like what teams, what fundamentals of a team make for a successful playoff team?
I mean, this is going to sound cliche and boring, but I've outlined them for you in our bet, which is our culture. The brotherhood piece of being tight and together and having each other's back and trusting. The effort piece of just, hey, this 1%, hey, staying in this moment and getting 1% better right now. Everybody's got the bracket in front of them. Everybody can look and do what they want to do. But hey, when Monday happens, we got to get better on Monday, and we got to get better on Tuesday. We got to play this next play, and then the toughness piece of you're going to get against it. There's going to be a moment in that game when you're going to question, are we up for this or not? And then all those things kind of flywheel affect each other. And then you go to the other side, what does the football look like? And we've outlined that in our keys to victory. You got to play with great fundamentals. I mean, football comes down to blocking and tackling. You got to take care of the football. You got to win the turnover battle. You got to be great on special teams. You've got to, be physical through pursuit and effort, and that's what we talk about, running to the ball for 48 minutes.
Yeah.
And just all those little things that we preach from day one.
Right.
So, I think a lot of times people think you get to the playoffs and you start doing something different. If there was a better way to do it, we should have been doing it on day one.
Right.
So we just try to continue to be better at what we do, and honestly, my goal is that practice gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
So that means we're getting more efficient, more efficient, more efficient. We start to, be able to save their legs a little bit. I think our practice now is down Mondays and Tuesday. Monday, we're inside of 2 hours. Tuesday, the practice itself is inside of 2 hours, but we have a little walkthrough and a lift. Wednesday, I think we're practicing an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and then Thursday's a walkthrough. So,
So along the same lines of kind of waiting for your team to peak, as you look as you move into the playoff scenario, and you're talking about everybody gets to kind of see the bracket, how do you keep the focus on the next game, right? Rather than saying, oh, let's look at who we're playing 2 games out or 3 games out. Like, how do you get the players to stay this week, and not say what's happening next week?
Yeah, and I think that, again, I think it just comes to what they're conditioned to see. We don't try to make big deals out of
The playoff.
of any game more than the next. I mean, because maybe there's a team that's not as great or not a rival or not one of those things, but we still know what we do this week is going to impact what we do next week and next week and next week. So you just continue to focus back in, and when you're in playoffs, I mean, you realize that you try to set it to the seniors today. Right now, you're guaranteed 4 more practices. That's it. We will make sure on Thursday that we clean the field and put everything away. So they see that, you may never see that again. It is put up in the storage unit, and hopefully on Monday we can take it back out.
Right.
So just continue to come back and just got to take that first step.
So that's great. So as if you could, let's move a little bit away from the playoff picture and think a little bit about kind of as we look back on the season that we've had, and it's been a fun one. Again, I'm excited about what I'm going to see in the future from this team, but I also know that it was an unexpected fun season that I thought was in trouble in the beginning because of factors outside of your control, and it's been a pleasure to watch, and this has been a special team. Can you tell me some off the field things that you've seen in this team that you're particularly proud of?
You know, if you go back, it's funny, they're sitting here, you think back to when the season, the off season, you know, just having guys who do selfless things like, you know, like Dane taking a young man to the Tim Tebow homecoming, or prom it was, you know, where you take a you know, special needs kid out and give them an experience that they might not get. We've got guys that do service projects, young men service league, all up and down. You know, and I miss some of the things that the program provides, because every year we always will do a service project and things like that, and just trying to, you know, make sure we do those things that build the guys outside of the program. Guys getting opportunities in other sports, which I think is another huge thing that our program provides, that space. And, you know, Blake Zettler signing with Western Carolina the other day, I think is so awesome that we can celebrate. But then, you know, and then just more holistic, challenge those guys and set some boundaries and provided them the ability to hold one another accountable during this whole thing about, you know, hey guys, no going to parties, you know. And then even making sure that you hold yourselves accountable with the social circles that you surround yourself with. And you know, we've had our share of adversity to overcome with the whole deal, but by and large, you know, they must be doing something right, because we haven't had, you know, some major setbacks. And so just really proud of them for that, because that, I mean, how you know, rare and mature that must be to ask a bunch of high school kids not to be a bunch of high school kids.
Right.
You know. And
exactly.
And that's just really cool to see that this team can do.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. One question I think that as we as fans that you may have insight into that we don't, that I find myself questioning, do you have any idea how the rankings work? Right? The rankings, like, and I know how AP rankings work, right? I got sports writers who come in and all vote on ranking. But when I look at like a Max Preps ranking, and I see that my team is ranked, you know, among teams in Georgia, like 15th now, will probably be better come Monday or the next time it comes out based on our last performance. But any idea how that works, and kind of, is it just some one guy who's kind of making that determination, or is it, yeah?
There's that Maxwell ranking, and then there's the Max Prep, and they have two separate rankings from the way I understand it. One of them is more of a writer's ranking, you know, in real time, kind of what, but another one is an algorithm that they use, and there's a lot of past experience and strength of schedule stuff that comes into it.
Okay.
So that main Max Preps ranking is the one that'll probably throw you more for a loop, because it's taking a lot of things from last year and strength of schedule, which also is from last year and history and things like that. That probably skews it a little bit one way or another.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
It makes it fun though as a fan to go up and pop one of the teams on top of us in the mouth. Yeah. And let Max Preps deal with that for a little while, right?
And I tell you, and I truly don't. What I love about our sport is, who cares about a ranking? We get decided on the field because we play a tournament till the end.
That's right.
You know, and that's all that matters. But it is funny kind of watching. They're still not quite believing in what this Milton brand is. Yeah. Because it's like, you know, you lose a game early in the year to a phenomenal Cedar Grove team. Right. And just because they have a 3A beside their name, everybody wants to kind of kick dirt on you and say, well, this Milton team just must not be that great. I feel like we've been penalized for that in the public opinion for a long time, but it is what it is.
But put the ball down. You played against Cedar Grove because it's a quality program down there.
You go, and
we won that game anyways.
Yeah, it turns out. Cheater.
But you know, and you know what? I like, keep us out of the top 10.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
keep
good.
Keep us out of the top 10. Just make that chip just a little bit bigger, because I think our boys responded.
I love it. So as we look at the next playoff game, which is Friday after Thanksgiving, a little bit, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's here in Milton, and tell us about Peachtree Ridge.
Peachtree Ridge, again, just it's a Gwinnett County school. It's a massive school, so they got tons of guys to pull from. They play in a high quality region with teams like Collins Hill and North Gwinnett and Peachtree Ridge. So they're battle tested, and that they're coming here and they probably feel like, hey, we're a 4 seed, but maybe we got a good draw, so they're going to come out swinging with nothing to lose. You got to respect some of the talent you see across from them. They got a mobile quarterback who can throw the ball around a little bit. They've got some skill guys who can go up and get it. They're big up front, and they kind of throw a lot of different things at you, which kind of makes it difficult sometimes to prepare. So,
okay.
Just like a lot of times, the biggest thing that we're going to need to do is be about us and make sure that we play our football game and make sure the guys are in the right spots from a preparation standpoint, and just kind of back to your first or earlier question of make sure you make this the most important game in your life right now, because it's the next one, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so that's why we're not even going to talk about the next one. We're going to stay with Peachtree Ridge, and then we talk about that. This game only. So one of the things that we've kind of done this year at the Clack's Corner that's been kind of fun for me is getting kind of inside coach analytics and coaching strategies and thoughts. So I think one thing every football fan who watches football on any level comes down to is, and I'd love to get your insight on this, is the analytics that go into a 4th down decision. Like, when do you go for it? When do you not go for it? What are the things that play into that, and kind of help me understand when you're figuring out, do I throw the field goal kicker out there, or do I keep my offense on the field? What goes into that?
So, we're fortunate, and it's kind of one of those things. I think you find what you're looking for. But I ran across, an emerging company in Edge Sports, EDG, Edge Sports, and they are an analytics software company, and basically I'm an ambassador for them now. I've actually done some clinics with and for them, and almost helped sell, kind of a pseudo salesman.
Yeah, but
it is a software that we buy. I have somebody in the box we customize each game, strengths and weaknesses, field goal range, punt range, tempo of the game, and things like that. And in real time, we keep up with timeout score, how much time's left, down and distance. And so what we'll do kind of starting today and working through the week is offense, defense, special teams. We'll build a holistic game plan, and one of the pieces of that is four down aggression. And there's a lot of different factors that'll come into that, from a 50,000 foot view. And so I'll have kind of a threshold, if you will, of how aggressive I'm going to be. And so when he plugs it in, and I'm just like, Parker, what's it say now? He'll give me what the software says. 4th and 5 right now is a 2% increase to your win probability by goal. So maybe I have a threshold that's that anything 0.001%, let me know.
Right.
We're going to be super aggressive in this game. That was Roswell.
Right.
And if you remember, so the first drive of the game, we fake a punt from 4th and 7.
Yep.
Because I said, where's it green? 7. All right. It's 4th and 7. We went for it. And then so like in the game last week, 4th and 9 from the 38. Do you pin them deep? Do you go for it? And it was kind of one of those coin flip scenarios right there, and I just kind of felt like rolling the dice. But yeah, so we actually have a system, and what it does is in real time it runs the scenario against like 200,000 or 300,000 previous games played.
Wow.
And it spits you out a percentage.
That's really cool. So when you kind of go into a game, you say, I'm going to be aggressive with that number, I'm going to be less aggressive with that number, be a little conservative with that number, and then like, let's say your number, I don't know, let's say your number is 7, right? Then if it comes up 7, is then, or a 6 or an 8, is that where your kind of emotion plays into it and says, okay, what's my feel of what or do you just say the math is the math?
No, yeah. So if something comes up, so again, the way it works is it gives you a win probability increase, and it's by percentage. So if something is like 20%, you don't want to miss that.
Yeah, right.
You know, and there is, believe it or not, a lot of counterintuitive stuff, especially when you get down late in the game and it's field goal versus going for it.
Yeah.
On like a 4th and 2 or something like that. You don't want to miss those. Like those.
And so what is the counterintuitive thing? Is it saying don't kick the field goal, always go for it, or is it usually saying field goal?
So I'll give you an example, and it was a pro example. So you're down by 5.
Yeah.
It's 4th and goal from the 2, with 2.5 minutes to go. Maybe you have some timeouts or whatever. Do you kick the field goal, play defense, so a field goal wins? Now you're talking a field goal kicker who's good from 55.
Yeah.
Which is highly doable. Or do you go for it and not get it?
Yeah.
And now you still got to have a touchdown to win.
Yeah.
I can sit there and truly make arguments for both, and I've watched NFL coaches kick that field goal. That is on average, that is a 20-25% loss that they just gave their team.
That's interesting.
Because then it comes into the effect of, yeah, you didn't get it, but now you've turned them over on the 2-yard line, and you're playing defense from the 2. The chances of you getting a punt there,
it's great, and you're going to get another possession.
Taking all those things into factor. More times than not, though, you're talking much smaller thresholds.
Right.
And so then you've got to look at not only what did we think about going into the game, and we prep our kids with this too, because I want them to know if coach is going for it on our own territory on our 35, and we don't get it, it's not because I'm panicking, it's because that was what the plan was.
Right.
And we know that sometimes I always equate it to blackjack. I'm going to double on 10 every time if the dealer showed 6.
Right.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but over time it's going to work more than it does. But with that being said, if I look up and I see my left tackle doesn't look right,
right.
Or I know my running back is gassed, or my quarterback just ain't quite there, or shoot, man, the wind's kicking up, or it's slick out there. That all those things are where the art comes in, and you've got to know what your players are feeling and thinking, and all this kind of thing. So
that's thank you for the insight. That's a lot of it's interesting. I think it's a lot of fun for the fan to kind of know what goes through your head. One area I wanted to talk and give you another opportunity to brag on is your special teams this year has been incredible, right? I mean, it's been a lot of fun. You've got an amazing kickers. You've got an amazing coverage. Help me understand what a big factor special teams has been and how that's impacted your games throughout the season.
So, there's a saying, that I love, pressure bursts pipes, right? Yeah, pressure makes diamonds or pressure bursts pipes. And we want to be a team that attacks, whether it's putting pressure on the quarterback, whether it's putting pressure on your defense with the way that we're going to run the ball, play action pass, stretch the ball down the field. I think the X factor comes in special teams. I think so many people, even if they pride themselves or put the emphasis on special teams that we do, a lot of times they're just doing it to be neutral. I'm not going to get a punt block. I'm not going to give up a kickoff return. I'm not going to make a mistake. We flip it, and we're going to make you make a mistake. We are going to steal momentum in this game, whether it's putting in 2 kickers and not knowing where that ball is going to go, what we call double trouble, whether it's scheming up a punt block for every single game, or making sure that we pressure you as we can, because I think that's where games can be tilted. We have a metric, saying I love it, if you don't measure it, it don't matter. And so we figured out a way to take the subjectivity of special teams out, and I won't bore you with the metric, but essentially, if you go +1, that means your special team was 1 point better comparatively than their special team. Look at the Cherokee game, we went +13.5.
Wow.
We went +13.5, and what does that mean? That means we were consistently tackling them behind the 25-yard line on our kickoff. So yardage and hidden yardage is a big deal. We didn't block the first punt, but it was because it did a Houdini magic bullet under Rice's armpit.
Indeed.
So the second time, you don't think that snapper and that punter had an idea that something was coming and it's over his head, and we make a heck of a job, push the punter out, cover the ball.
Yeah.
We got a punt returner who is fearless. You know, it isn't so much about breaking that punt return. It's the hidden yardage when you don't catch it and it rolls an extra 15 yards.
Right.
So 15 yards in football terms, like one of the greatest football minds of all time, Bill Walsh, #1 statistic or correlation to winning games, nobody disagrees on, it's turnovers. You win the turnover battle, you give a shot. #2, he says, was explosive plays. An explosive play is essentially 15 to 20 yards. If you let a ball drop and roll for 15 yards, that's an explosive play.
Right.
So when I was looking at region stats today, our net punt is 42 yards, which is phenomenal. We're not getting things blocked.
Yeah.
Right? Part of faking punts, part of giving different formations, you got to sit back. Our net punt return average is 31. So that's 11 yards on average that we're picking up every time that a punt is exchanged.
Wow. So you're almost at that spectacular play every time.
Every time, like just with our punt unit.
Wow.
So yes, it is definitely something we like to have a lot of fun with. You know, I have a special teams co-coordinators in Coach Silvestri and Coach Young, and then I'm super involved in it as well. You know, I don't think we put an inordinate amount of time. I think it actually would probably surprise people the efficiency that we do it with. We had a special teams competition teams that we started the season like all through camp, and you know, had a winner and they got hoodies and it was like, you know, just all kinds of stuff. So we definitely want to make that an X factor.
Yeah, and it has been. It's been a great
Without a doubt, it has
yeah.
been. So you know, we were plus 13.5 against Cherokee, but we averaged through the region plus 5.
Oh my goodness, that's great. Okay, so as we kind of come to the end here, I know we're only looking one game ahead, but it is Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday. I'm planning on spending the holidays with the Milton Eagles, right? I'm just making those plans for myself. I'm not saying anything about past the next game, but I'm saying it's possible that we could be very close to you guys over the next Thanksgiving and for Christmas, maybe, you know, close to New Year's. So I want to know a little bit more about you as the person. So 2 things. One, if I don't know how big a TV watcher you are, but if you were to give me your favorite holiday movie, what would that be?
Favorite?
Because I think you can tell a lot about a person based on this. I'm just saying. I'm judging you pretty hard. I want to know the man I'm spending time with.
It's hard for me to beat Home Alone, man. It's hard
Yep.
to beat Home Alone.
That's quality. That's quality. It's a classic that goes forward. I myself.
Christmas Story is pretty hard to beat too.
Yeah. Where are you on Elf? Are you?
Big Elf fan.
Okay. And Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation.
Okay, so we got some time together. We're gonna have some good times. So I think that kind of brings us to a close here. I want to open it up to any questions in the room about the last games and where we're going forward. A question over here.
Coach, I would say outside of our man-child running back, Jordan, who had an incredible game the other night, I think it'd be safe to say that I think our second best weapon that night was Jason Ossing. That kid is a weapon. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like he ever gets off a bad punt. He always pins him back, and not to mention a 51-yarder that, you know, didn't count. But I mean, you know, what's your thought on what a weapon he is and how much? I mean, and not to mention we're deep in kicking, but he's just something else.
Yeah, no,
he's consistently every week.
He's been phenomenal. And you talk about the punt. You know, we talked about that earlier, but when you can consistently put a team inside the 20, when you can flip a field, you know, and get it off, you know, we have not had you know, any miscues in there, and that's just huge.
Yeah, I've noticed too that we give him time to run out a little rugby style, but you know, sometimes that rugby style kick is tough for guys to get off, but that kid just bombs it.
And that's what's pretty cool too, is like we can do both, you know, and we thankfully we haven't had to punt too much lately, and we've been wanting to go a little more of what we call our base punt, but the rugby punt, what makes the rugby punt so nice is I like the protection of it, But the coverage of it is even better because the longer he can hold that ball, the longer those guys have to get downfield.
And he seems to know, right, just the perfect time to actually get rid of that kick. But what's impressive is he gets it off and bombs it every time.
Gets it off and bombs it, and then you know we've been working on it. But sometimes it looks like a mishit, but we're doing it on purpose when we're trying to actually not kick it far. Like if we're trying to pin them, say we're past the 50. That one where he just kind of line drives it and lets it bounce and roll. Like that's as good as you can do to try to down one inside the 20. But yeah, it was good to see him to bang that deep one. You know, we do a lot of things. You know, because Christian's a great kicker as well, and we make those guys compete with the boys having to sprint on the other side if they miss. So we put them under the pressure to make 45-yarders in practice and 50-yarders in practice. Yep, hate that we false started there, took that away from him, but hey, he made it. And dang it, I know 56 was just a hair out of his range, but I just had a feeling, man. I wouldn't have been able to sleep at night if I didn't give him another shot at it.
That's nice to have that weapon, you know, and to know that you've got that as far as whenever you need it. One thing that's been, from a fan standpoint, is just watching the rolls. Like, I don't understand how every time he seems to kick the ball, we get a great roll out of it. I mean, I don't know if that's luck or what, but that ball comes down perfectly, and we get 10, 11, 15-yard rolls, seems like all the time.
It's you know, again, just truly blessed to be surrounded with the coaching staff that Coach Sly and Principal Jones have allowed me to assimilate with or put together. Assemble. But Phil Broom came to me, and I felt like the biggest moron because I'm like, there's the soccer coach who had to come to the football coach to ask if he could work with kickers, and I needed somebody to work with kickers, and what is my problem? And he came and volunteered for the first year, and then of course he's been a part of the staff ever since, and he is building a pipeline.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've seen
I
the
know,
JV
I know you
kickers.
watched the JV game.
Yeah. It's nuts.
I mean,
it's nuts.
Mota's going to give all of them a run. So, you know, it's exciting watching what he does. And you talk about that role, like they work on that. There's an art to that. And we asked them to do a lot with the way that, you know, hey, we're going to rugby style here. We're going to do a base punt there. Oh, I want you now to work on sky kicks and onside kicks and, you know, putting it. We zone, we grid the field like a phone, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
So 1 is deep left, 3, 7 and 9 would be onside kicks. And they got to work those grids so that we can just call a number out and they hit it to a spot.
That's incredible. So if all the scouts that are watching this video to try and get insight on the Milton, we got a lot of quality kids playing for the Eagles, but do not sleep on these punters because it's fun to watch. They are a factor for us. Are there any more questions in the room? In the back.
So, it's not even a question though. I will say, Coach, appreciate you. We love you. But I don't know how many more Clacks corners we're going to have, but I got to give a shout out to our Building Touchdown Club president, Brad Zetlin.
Hey.
The amount of stuff that has gone on this year that he has done is unbelievable. So, I mean, it would not have happened without him. So, thank you, Brad. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Brad and the board he's assembled has been phenomenal to navigate all this stuff and everything that we've done to pull off yet another middle school championship. How about that? How about that 6th grade Eagles team?
Yeah.
That 6th grade Eagles team.
There's more coming. There's more coming, Coach.
And the 7th and the 8th as well. Phenomenal seasons. You know, a team that wasn't even supposed to make, right? A team that wasn't even supposed to exist. They were going to fall apart. They just go on and win it all. Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah.
But that's a testament to what we believe in. Get a part of this program because we may not always be right, and we may not always hit the mark, but man, we're going to try our best to provide the experience that we promise and the experience that we believe in, helping these guys become better young men, helping these guys come together as teammates, learn those lessons, and also get a little better at football along the way.
Well, I can't think of a better way to end than that. That's a perfect ending, Coach. So from Old Blind Dog, come on down, one of our sponsors here. We're having a great time tonight at Coach's Clack's Corner. And Jamie's not here, but we had a pretty good time, just you and me.
I think it's probably the best one yet.
I'm not sure you need to. Stay at home, man.
Hey, it's so good.
It just worked out that
It would
way.
have only been better if Jamie was here.
We're gonna look at the analytics on the Claxton Corner and see how it worked out, but
That was plus
maybe
two.
we'll make some decisions. Anyhow, thank you very much. You all have a good night.